Hello, welcome to today's exciting episode of the Law Show, where we talk nothing but law, and law. Now, from the series we did 3 episodes on the Land Use Act, particularly as it relates to the Oba of Benin. Before that, we had done some other episodes about the certificates of occupancy and if I told they give you anything. And then we had this comment from a viewer, which is going to form the basis of our discussion. The point he said, I watched and I've listened to your earlier presentations on land use decree, community development associations, and certificate of occupancy, and all that. Then he asked, but I'm yet to grasp the position and total relevance, therefore, of the Act, that's the Land Use Act, in the present issue concerning the acquisition of land and or ownership. So, basically what he's asking is, what is the purpose of the Land Use Act in acquisition of land and in ownership in Nigeria today? So, we're just going to spend a few minutes talking about it. And first off, I can just give you my opinion about the Land Use Act. This is my very reasoned opinion, my very well considered opinion. This is my opinion backed by all the years of study, examination of cases, decisions by courts, on both sides of the divide. And I have no hesitation whatsoever in saying, to my friend that asked that question, in saying that the Land Use Act, as far as I'm concerned, is a totally useless law in Nigeria. In fact, if you ask me, I could go a little bit far as to say that it is the most useless piece of legislation I've ever seen in this country. It's a legislation that we didn't need. We don't need it today. We don't need it tomorrow. We don't need it at all. We still have it in our books. We still have it as a law in Nigeria because, now, we are Nigerians, we have members of the National Assembly whose responsibility it is to amend the act or to abrogate it totally. But again, they've not really been doing their jobs, if we might put it that way. I mean, they've done a few things. I mean, they've promulgated some laws. They've made some amendments of the Constitution, and I think we are proud of them, particularly as it relates to, if there's an election or there's going to be a challenge to somebody who is going to contest an election. Let's do it fast. Tribunal matters, you must conclude them within 180 days. Court of Appeal, if you are going to Court of Appeal, 60 days. And if you are going to Supreme Court, 60 days. So that's 180 plus 120. That's about 300 days. All right, 180 plus 100. 180 plus 100 is 280 plus 20 days. That's 300 days. In 300 days, we should know who is going to contest, who is going to, sit on that seat, etc. So I think that's beautiful. I mean, the National Assembly has been able to pass, all those constitutional amendments. It's on 285 of the Constitution. Which is good, but that really doesn't benefit Nigerian people, It just benefits members of the National Assembly, State Assembly, governors, etc. Those people at the top. It doesn't change the price of Gary in the market, whether Mr. A is governor or it took 10 years for the other person to, eventually become governor. So in terms of what is beneficial to the members of the National Assembly, they've been very good, They've been quite up and doing in making those laws, amending those laws, etc. And I'm not here to knock anybody down, but I'm here for the people. I've always been, at heart, someone who tries to look at things from the perspective of how does it benefit a greater majority of our populace. And we seem to have so many laws in our books, which altogether actually pauperize, impoverish Nigerians. The Land Use Act is one of those laws. And that is why I say that it's a most useless document. It's a most useless law. And our National Assembly members should do everything possible to get it out of our books. I tell you why I say that. All right. Number one, before the Land Use Act was promulgated, the act was already, in principle, in terms of its provisions, applicable in the North. The Northerners were not happy with it. In the South, we had our own state land laws, state land laws, by which the government could actually acquire land for public purpose, but pay compensation for it, assess the value of the land and pay the owner of the land, etc. But now the Land Use Act came in and said, no, we don't need to pay you. If government likes your land, government can take your land and pay you for what is called unexhausted improvements. That is, improvements that you have made to the land which you have not exhausted. Now, taking land meaning for public purpose, okay, not just taking land for anything. So if government needs your land, they can take your land for public purpose and then pay you only for unexhausted improvement. In other words, if you had a house on the land that you had built or your father built 50 years ago that you have been living in, but you have not exhausted living in the house, okay, the house is an improvement which is unexhausted. So government will value the unexhausted improvement that you have made on the land and pay you off. And how much government will pay you is determined by government scale, which they made in 1978 or 1979. So even if they are acquiring your land, your house or your land in 2020, we are making this video now, they're still going to pay you by that, and government is the one paying. There's a committee called Land Use and Allocation Committee set up by the state governor. They are the one to determine how much they are going to pay you, following the standards which government itself has set. I mean, who does that? There's no other country in the world that I know where that is possible except in this our Nigeria. No other country. And it's very annoying. It's very, very, very annoying that lots of people have lost their land to the actions of government acting pursuant to the Land Use Act. So if I'm answering our friend as to, what is the benefit of this Land Use Act, that's why I say it's totally useless. Totally useless. It doesn't serve the interests of Nigerians. The military government that promulgated it, I think it was General Olusegun Obasanjo. Well, I never met him. I can't say I respect him because really and truly, I don't respect military leaders. I'm sorry. That's my attitude. Why? Because the military is not set up, is not established to govern. They are established to fight war, to defend our territorial integrity and sovereignty. I think that's how they say it, Owen. Territorial integrity and sovereignty. So that's how they are. A soldier is when he's recruited, he's trained, trained to be physically fit, trained to shoot, and he's not trained to engage civilians. He's trained to shoot anybody. Anybody at the opposite end of the barrel is seen as an enemy. And then it's either you shoot the soldier first or the soldier shoots you first. So that's the mentality. Then the organized military coup, shoot everybody, take over, and then they promulgate a law and say, okay, if government needs your land, we can take your land. And then we give you what we want to give you. How is that fair? But this is not the only legislation, and I must hasten to say this so that someone will not think, okay, the Land Use Act is the only law that is bad in Nigeria. I said it's the most useless one. I didn't say it's the only useless law. We have another one called the Petroleum Act or Petroleum, whatever. We have a few of them. Petroleum Act is another one. If oil is found in your house, in your backyard, in your father's land, in your land, any day soon. In fact, in Nigeria, you have to pray, oh God, let them not find oil in my land. Let them find it in my neighbor's land, Let them not find oil in my village. Let oil be discovered, in my neighbor's village. Because if they find oil in your village, you lose your land. You lose your village. You are actually sent away, because the government will give exploration companies what is called an OML, oil mining license, or OEL, oil exploration license, either of the two. This is like an authority from government to enter your land and look for oil. Okay, they found some traces of it, so now they have to drill, determine the quantity of it, and begin to exploit. They begin to exploit it. That's a better word. Exploit the oil. So while they're exploiting the oil, before they start to exploit the oil, while they're exploiting the oil, they are not going to talk to you. You just go and meet government, and government will give you what they will acquire the land, give a certificate of occupancy to the company, and you have lost your land. So they'll pay you for unexhausted improvement. Oil is not are you the one that put the oil there? So because it's a natural resource, you are not going to get anything for it. They will pay you for maybe your house, and most cases, they don't find oil in the cities where you have fine houses, which can attract good money. They are probably going to find oil maybe in the riverine area, near the river, in one village or the other, where there are mud houses. So they will value your mud house. Okay, altogether at 72,000 naira. Take. That's what you are entitled to. Okay, your farm. You own all this farm. You try. Oh, what do you have on it? Say cassava. From here to Jericho, cassava. Okay. How much is cassava? Okay, they look at the above. Okay, 22,000 naira is what we are paying you. In fact, on the day they are paying you, they tell everybody, stand by your land. Oh. You stand by your land and hold something to show that you are the... And then in the bush with soldiers and mopo, all armed in the bush there, you are standing by your own. They will put it in an envelope. I mean, it's the way our government treats our people. It's sickening, really. So everybody stands, and then they just put it in an envelope, already sealed. You don't open it there. When you collect your own, you go when you get to wherever, you go and open it. If you open it, if it's complete, hallelujah. If it's not complete, you aren't coming back to that place where there are mopo and army soldiers to say, I want to meet this, or I want my money. It's not complete. And when they are building roads, it's the same thing they do. So everybody stand by we are coming tomorrow to pay. So everybody stand by your own, land, which is along that stretch we are paying. So you stand there. So when they get there, what is your name? Owen. Your money is already in an envelope. Take. The other one. Take. The other one. Take. The other one. Take. So I say all of this for one reason. I don't know if this camera is working. So I say all of this I'm saying for one point, and this is the point. That we have these laws that were made by military men whose primary interest was not the people, because the military are not elected by the people. It's not the government of the people. It's not for the people. It's not by the people. So once they come in and they are ruling, they don't care about the people. So they make laws which really don't put the people as the centerpiece. So most of these laws, like the Land Use Act, doesn't have the people as the centerpiece of the law. And really and truly, what does the Land Use Act give to anybody? I see a lot of people celebrating when they have, I've got a certificate of occupancy. What does it give you that you never had anyway? What does it give you? It doesn't give you anything. Maybe if you want to take a loan from a bank, and if you ask me, getting a loan from a bank is not the smartest thing to do in life anyway. Why don't you just sell your land and use the money to invest in business? Because you are going to lose the land anyway. You take a loan from a bank, you pledge your land as security. Chances are you are going to lose it anyway. So why don't you just sell it ab initio, as we lawyers will say. Just sell it and invest the money in business instead of giving it to a bank as security for a loan, because ultimately you still lose it. But okay, that's the point. A lot of people get CFOs because they want to use it to pledge it as collateral, for a loan. All right, maybe it works for some people, maybe it doesn't work for others. So beyond that, why else would you need a certificate of occupancy? Doesn't give you anything better. I mean, from the videos that we have done, and I hope that our people will be able to put links to those videos. So we'll try and put some links to those videos so that people can click on it and watch. If you did not own the equitable customary interest in the land and you get a certificate of occupancy from the governor, you have got nothing. In fact, if you ask me, I will tell you that a certificate of occupancy is a useless piece of document if you don't own the land. If you have not acquired title to the land, if you have not acquired the customary ownership or interest in the land, and you have a certificate of occupancy, it's useless. It's useless. Because any court any day will knock it down. Any court any day will knock it down. And there are many that have been knocked down. And there are many authorities. I did some videos, I cited some of them. CSS Bookshop versus River State, boo, knocked down. The one we looked at the other day, the Molajo case, the late senior advocate case, boo, certificate of occupancy knocked. Several of certificate of occupancy being knocked down left, right, and center by the court. So what does it give you really that you never had? What does certificate of occupancy do for you which you never had? Absolutely nothing. Except it does something for you. It increases your cost. So you already own your land, or somebody comes and buys your land, pays you, then goes to the government, pays the government to get a certificate of occupancy. So now you have double fee. And then every year, it's now paying ground rent. I'm not asking you not to pay ground rent. I'm not a what's the word for those people who don't support government? I'm not an anarchist at all. I'm not an anarchist. I'm a Democrat at heart. But truth be said, you start paying ground rent every year to government, and the year you don't pay, they tell you, okay, we are coming to take over the land. We are coming to take over the land. So what is the purpose? Cui bono? What is the purpose of getting a certificate of occupancy? It doesn't give you a better title than you already had. It doesn't. So what is the purpose? What is the purpose of getting a certificate of occupancy? If you ask me, I think there is no purpose. Even a family deed of arrangement. When a man dies, the family gets together, they share his assets, and then they do, what do you call this thing now? Deed of family arrangement, where the Okaegbe, the head of the elders, the Diokpa from Agbo people, the Diokpa will sit down with the other people, the elders, and then it's okay. The land in the river, by the river bank, that goes to Owen. The land by the motor park, that one opposite the motor park. Jenny, you get that one. The one in GRO in Benin. Now you are smiling. Okay, you get that one. Josephine, get that one. So then they all sign. It's as powerful, even more powerful than a certificate of occupancy. Because that's customary title, which you can transfer to anyone. So that's the point. I wanted to answer the question from this guy who has asked me, what's really the present relevance of the Land Use Act in acquisition of land and ownership of land in Nigeria. And my straight answer is the Land Use Act, it's a totally useless law which should be completely repealed. And I plead, I request our National Assembly representatives to please, as a matter of urgency, please, I'm begging, please, repeal the Land Use Act. Get it off our books. Get it off. See you in the next video.